kaiju fans, it's John. I want to do a bit of a work in progress video here for you about a Godzilla 89 or Godzilla vs. Biollantte. This is an Image 30 centimeter, which is about a foot tall, Godzilla vs. Biollantte kit. And I want to make a diorama here. I've made a base out of foam like I have been for a while. What I'm trying to figure out is a way to make this diorama so that it sort of is part of the tendrils of Biolantte. I want to sculpt some of the ones with the heads on them surrounding him. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but I want to kind of incorporate it into this base, so the base sort of is part of that. And so we'll look at the kit a little bit more in a minute. One of the reasons why I'm doing this project next is because soon I'll be going to Jersey Fest, and there will be a class that myself and Robert Trock will be teaching on how to paint Godzilla, and it will be using a Godzilla figure from Diamond Select that is actually a bank that we're going to fill in the slot, and we've primed it. It looks like this. You'll be able to come to a class and we'll go over how to paint this figure, which is a Godzilla 89. The model here that I've been working on, after I built it and put it together with super glue, pinned it, I used this Liquitex modeling paste to do the seams and to put the texture back in where the seams didn't have, well, to cover the seams, and then to put texture in where it needed to be. And then when that was all done, I spray painted it just like that picture you saw of the Godzilla 89. It's just a flat gray auto primer. Then I began to, before I put the mouth on here, I painted the mouth, and then I put the jaw on, puttied that, painted that. I put a sort of a medium gray acrylic paint over the whole thing, about the same color, in places where I didn't get paint with the primer. Particularly wanted to make sure it was pretty uniform. There weren't any areas with no paint. Then I painted the eyes, and I did a little bit of spots where the claws, the tips of the fins, made them white, or a little ivory color. But once I got that all done yesterday, I took a brush about like this. I really chew up brushes, but this is one I've used for a long time. I use it for all kinds of things. It got a little bit of curl to it, and I just went and I used some of these Createx paints. I had a brown, this brown. I used a deep blue and a dark purple. And I took those three colors and I put them on a palette, and in three different spots. I kind of mixed them, put some of those different colors everywhere. And then wherever there was a shadow area or there's a crack, I painted pretty dark color right in there, just slopped it in there. I didn't try to get it exactly, but tried to be in the darker areas with that. Then what I would do is I would take just a butter dish like this with water, and I would make a wash around there. Let some of that dark paint go into the cracks. Then I would try to make sure it didn't get too dark on the highlights. Now I'm going to be dry brushing highlights in it later. right over the white on the tail. So you can see the wash wasn't real strong because it didn't cover that up. I left the fins on the sprues so I could paint them easier, and did the same thing to these, and then I kind of touched up the white a little bit more again. I'll be doing a lot more work with these, but I'm just showing you where I'm at now. Before you get into painting, you kind of got to decide what you like as far as what you want it to look like. These models come usually with a photograph of what the model looks like when it's built. Of course, you have your instructions that come with it, usually in Japanese on these kits, so I can't read it, but that's what the pictures are great for. It's an idea of what the pieces look like without the fins. There's a whole other sheet that just shows the fins and another photo of the model. But I encourage you to look at books and look online at pictures of the Godzilla that you want to paint. Here's one of the books I use quite a bit for reference. There's a lot of cool pictures, color pictures in it. A lot of different things you can use. The reason I have this model kit here, this is an M1 1989 Godzilla vs. Biollantte kit, and it's got Biolantte in it. It's a really pretty box. It's got a nice picture of Godzilla and Biolantte here. There's a picture of Godzilla on this side. This side has pictures that are behind the scenes of the Biolantte suit or marionette or whatever that is. The reason I wanted to show you this is another project that's similar as far as the subject matter, but I'm going to reference some of the parts in here when I sculpt my own Biolantte tendrils, like this one here. I'm going to have one with his mouth probably closed, one with his mouth open, maybe have 3 or 4 of them, and then I'll have other vines and things that don't have heads. But I want to look at this to kind of get an idea of what I want it to be in it, and my pieces will be bigger than this because the scale is smaller on this kit. I think Godzilla in this one is probably about this tall. Biolantte is pretty big, but it'd be cool to sculpt a whole Biolantte, but I don't have the space for that. I don't want to make it that big a project, and I don't know that I have the talent to sculpt that well, but that's what I'm going to do. So I've described to you what my plan is for the project. Give you one more thing about this is the eyes on Biolantte or Godzilla here. I don't know if you can see them very well, but I colored those using markers. I have some Faber-Castell markers, and I'll use like a rapidograph pen, like a real fine point ink pen, and I'll make the outside of the iris, and I'll kind of position where I want the pupil to be, and then I'll put color in there. I used some oranges, yellows, and just blended the ink along with different colors I put in there. And then I took, to strengthen the pupil, I took some actual black enamel, put that in. So now what I'll do is I'll spray this with dull coat, which is it's a flat coat of varnish that will help protect what I've done. The next step after that will be to go in, and I'll do some of those dark areas again, but I'll use some washes and also some dry brushing in the crevices of a dark, probably a mix of the same sort of colors, browns, reds, blues, to make kind of a dark purplish color to go into the crevices and the dark areas. Then I'll do some dry brushing. I may do some dry brushing with acrylics before I get into that, just to get the highlights that I really want to pop on there. But anyway, if you want to paint your own Godzilla, come see me at Jersey Fest. It's the end of August, and it's in Whippany, New Jersey. So have a good day, and thanks for watching my video. Bye.